Hello everybody. Today I'll be showing a very short program that I made today actually, which was a very simple keylogger using Python. So I'm just gonna open up that code right here, and so this is actually the code. It is, what's that, 23 lines long. We might as well ignore these errors. It's just like glitching out. There's no reason why it can't import either of these libraries. So that's just a weird VS Code bug that's going on. But right here, I'm actually going to delete this file for the purpose of this. So now my logs folder up here is empty. So basically, to start this little script off, we just put in a file called requirements.txt the two libraries that we're using and their versions. So we're using PyInput for actual key tracking, and then Paperclip for tracking our clipboard. So right here we import Paperclip, and we also import listener from pyinput.keyboard. There's other, what you can also say from PyInput, import keyboard, and then keyboard.listener down here, but this is just a little bit easier in my opinion. And so for those that don't know too much about Python, this is kind of how you start your program off in some scenarios, most scenarios I'd say. So we just started off using our start function, saying if name is equal to main, we go ahead and start. Our definition for the start function is we use what we imported up here, our listener. We say with listener on press is equal to log key is l.join, and what this basically means is that, so listener is listening kind of to your keyboard, if you can imagine that. It's listening to your keyboard and saying every time a key is pressed, we're setting something equal to it, and we're going to call this function up here called log key. So every time we press a key, this function will be called, and we call this listener L, and it joins. So basically this just starts the program. It starts the listening up, and the only thing left to go over really is our function. So we have log key, which I just called it that because we're logging the keys, and we take in a key. I take the key, I make it a string, and I also replace the single quotes with nothing. It takes the, if we were to type a W, for example, it takes the W from this as a key object and turns it into this as a string object, just for readability. And then we check if key is equal to the command key, so this is more for like Apple products, or Macs I should say, or key is equal to control, so this is going to be for your Windows. Then we're going to actually copy, or we're going to store the clipboard information. So basically if someone says like control C, that kind of thing, we're going to store their clipboard using a formatted string called, formatted string using F, and we're going to, the string will basically say clipboard, and then it'll have whatever's in our clipboard pasted in here. And so that'll be stored in line. Otherwise, if it's a different key that's pressed, if it's not the command or control key, we're just going to say keystroke is, and then we'll put that key there. So the last thing we have to do is actually store these lines, this information of either our clipboard or what key we press. And so we're going to do that with the logger file. So the logger file up here, we just say logger equals, and we say, we put the path. So I have an empty folder here, as you can see, empty, called logs, and logger.log is what I'm calling my file. And so with open logger, this is going to create the file if it doesn't exist, and then A is actually append mode for the file, so we're going to be writing the file, so that's why we just do append mode. And so essentially it's going to create that file on our first, as soon as we start the program, and it's going to write our lines. And so to write our lines, since we call this file F, we're going to say f.write, and then we're going to use a formatted string of each line, so line with a end line character, so that our lines are on individual lines. So for example, instead of our tracking being like, let's see, keystroke, oh man, I can't type, keystroke, and then let's say I press W, and then it's going to keep doing it, keystroke in a horizontal line. It's going to put each new keystroke, each new keystroke on a new line, just for readability. And so that's basically it. It's kind of the whole gist of it. Now we can go ahead and run it. So yeah, again, our logs is empty, so we'll see that something's added there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to say for me, Python 3, and we're going to go ahead and say run.py, because that's the name of our file. We run it, and our keylogger is running right now. So as soon as I press something with my keyboard, right now I'm using only my mouse, so as soon as I start typing, all this will be tracked. So let's go to Amazon.com. Let's go ahead and buy a car. Or we can buy something from Carhartt, right? Maybe I want the minimum price to be 25, but the maximum to be 50. Sure. Oh, cool. Maybe I want to go to passwords.google, and maybe I want to check a password of mine. Maybe I want to say, what is my stock market game password from high school? So if I type my password here, which I'm not going to, I'm going to type random gibberish, and that is actually going to be stored. So we can exit out of this, and now let's go look on our logs file, and sure enough, we have our logger.log file that's created, and it was tracking everything we typed. So I went to Amazon.com first. That's why we see AMAZON.com. We have the enter because I pressed enter. I typed in car first. I pressed down arrow, all that good stuff, to get the Carhartt. I did the $25 to $50 range. That shouldn't shock us. And then I go to my password manager, and then I say, and then I told you guys I was going to write random gibberish. So I wrote out random gibberish, and essentially what we have here is a program that is tracking all keystrokes. And that is basically that. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.